other choices in there.
What's that?
Oh, never mind. There was a bunch of other choices in that menu
Oh.
for
One
saving.
was DTA 111. DTA
I think it was a plugin that I have for downloading stuff.
That was just this prompt from the save.
Yeah, that was just the prompt from the save.
Okay.
That's just Firefox.
Something extra that
Yeah.
I have. Okay.
All right, so this is what we got. And so let's, and just like any other module, you come and you drop it into your modules folder. Unpack it. And now let's take a look at it. Just quickly so you can see the kind of stuff that's here. There's a lot here. See, it created this folder with, what's that, 8, 10 files in it or something. And so, look, you have a .info file just like any other module, right? And this is probably the longest .info file you've seen, except maybe Zen. So look, you see all these dependencies, and this is normal Drupal module stuff. I mean, this is nothing new that Features invented. They just found out a way to push it out. A normal description, just like your normal modules. This is something that Features does. Notice it's Features something, right? So this is all the stuff that you clicked and all the stuff that it decided to export for you, all the dependencies that it decided to find. And so Features will know to look for this stuff. Use API, stuff like that. Okay. And then a name package, that's fine. If that's the longest .info file you've ever seen, this is probably the shortest .module file you've ever seen. And it's only one line. It's include, the features include file. So this is where the real magic ends up happening here. I do not have time to go through all of this, but you can kind of see some of these words. You'll see, here's ctools, there's image cache. And so it just puts all this stuff together, just like everything else in Drupal, big old arrays. Everything is just big old arrays. So there's the features one, there's taxonomy, so there's the categories, user permissions that I selected, there are the roles, here are the strong arm variables. This is actually done as an object rather than an array, but that works. So these are all the strong arm variables, and then here's the view.
So each of those files corresponds to a module, is that right? Or not?
Loosely, kind of. I mean, if a module has its own way of doing exporting, then it needs it to, it is as part of that module to create that file and to do that. So Features follows that. But like, see, content, that's the content module, as in CCK content. Taxonomy, I mean, this is user permissions and user roles, but really that's the user module, right? I guess, is permissions in system? Permissions might be in system, in any case. Those are both, so it's two different files for one module. It's not direct one-to-one, and StrongArm is all kinds of modules. I mean, StrongArm is one module, but all the stuff that it collects is from all kinds of different modules.
So again, this is just to replace re-clicking everything.
Mm-hmm.
Export all your settings.
It exports all your stuff. Well, also, now that you have this, you can put it into version control, right? So we can put this here, and we can say get init, and now it's in version control. You know, git add star, git commit, initial commit. Oh. Oops. Okay. So now this module, this code is now in version control, so that when I make changes to it in the future, I'll be able to see kind of what my progression is and leave comments about every single step that I made along the way. All right. So back to the magic of the demonstration site, I'm going to reset us back to the base. Yeah. Okay. So now what we see is we see our feature shows up here. Now, it happens to use some of the same variables or variable names as the features test one, but since I'm not enabling that, you can ignore that. This is what I was talking about those conflictions. If you check everything, it's going to start arguing with you because another feature that you created might have checked the same stuff, and so they won't be compatible with each other, or you'll get conflictions. I'm not going to enable the test one, so that doesn't really apply to me.
I haven't used the features a few times. The two things that most confused me were the terms used for state and actions. Overridden, I guess, really means that what is being overridden is not really clear to me. And
Okay.
recreate, what is that?
Okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
Good. So what I'm going to do now, we're back to our empty site. No content types created, no views not even enabled. Okay, so I'm going to enable our feature. Good. It's enabled, and we'll even find, see we have the views UI there. We have content types created. That was it. One click, I enabled it, all my stuff's there. And so we were talking about states. Let's go into that now. So now that it's in here, you can make changes to it as well. I mean, you still have all the power of views and everything else.
It's in code still. It didn't put it in the database.
Right, it's not in the database, it's just in code. So what I can do here is now I can go to my view that I created, and I decided, okay, well, I also want to sort by whatever node ID. I don't care. Fine. Okay, and save it. So what I just did is, this was the view that I had created before. I exported it in from features. I enabled the feature. It's all here, but I can still. This is still all the power of views here that I can go in and make any changes that I want in this, right in the normal views interface. And I can go back to features, and now it says, oh look, overridden. You've made changes. You should know that you've made changes. If this is a production site, that might be a problem. I mean, it kind of depends on what your workflow is, I suppose, for creating sites. But normally, you make all your changes in your development, and then in your production site always just says default, right? Because that you want it to be whatever it is, and if you know something got screwy, well, hey, you can click on overridden here. You get this nice interface. It tells you what's overridden. Someone screwed with my view. Okay, well, can't have that, and you click the checkbox, say revert, and right back to where it was. So you always have that saved state right where it was.
So that takes back what you had just done in the UI.
That's right. It completely removes it. Yeah.
And so you have now gone from one site, QA to production.
Mm-hmm.
You brought over the features from QA onto production, but you've only brought configuration, and presumably there was database tables and stuff like that over in QA that you don't have here now. And so wouldn't that conflict with configuration?
Which database tables are you
The
thinking
ones
of?
that you had that were tied to the configuration on QA.
Okay.
Content.
Well, the features has nothing to do with content. We're not talking about content today. Okay, let's just make that clear. There's nothing to do with content. Now, what you're talking about are tables that perhaps those other modules created, like CCK and views and stuff. With those dependencies, those modules were enabled, just like you saw it go into views, which means those tables have been created for us already. Just by enabling a module, it creates those tables, right? Now, because I'm speculating here because I don't know for sure, but I think it doesn't actually go in, like, if it needs to create new tables for, say, a new field that you created, yeah, it will go and create those tables. It has to, because it's going to have to store that data somewhere, right? So yeah, it has to do that. So it does go and create those extra tables for you. Yeah.
Just so it's clear in my mind, what you just did with the revert button would be something you would probably never do on the development box, right? Because that means you're erasing the changes you just made to your database.
Right, I'd probably do it on a new one, just in case I forgot to click something.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you wanted to save the overridden change that you'd made in the UI, would you use recreate at that point?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
But I want to do one more thing. I meant to do this once. Let me just go in here and make that one change again. There's a great little, we're kind of running out of time too, but that's okay. There's a great module that works with Sure. Save. Okay. So there's another great module that you will probably want to use when you're doing this. It's called diff. So if you're familiar with this, if you've ever done revisions, it will tell you what the difference is when you save a node, what's changed. It will tell you what the difference is in your feature that you just overrode. This is cool. There it is. So, I should have made that one required as well. Come on. Okay. So now we go back to features, and in our overridden, because I just made that change to the view, now what we have up here actually is a new tab called Review Overrides. So here's this one, right? We know that that's overridden, but we don't really know what I did. I mean, I remember and you remember, but what you can do is go here to Review Overrides, and this tells us right here, between these lines, I added the term data to the sort order, right? And so you can say, oh, so that's what he did. That was a good idea. Maybe I'll recreate it instead.
So again, the blue is basically marking the changes that you made in the UI. And that's why it's being considered overridden. Okay.
Yeah, and so what it does actually is you still have the code. I mean, the code hasn't changed from your files, but when you made that change, Views took that and said, okay, code, we're not even looking at you anymore. We're pushing this up to the database because now they're doing some new funky stuff with it. You might have seen this before. You know, if you ever had Views comes with a bunch of views that are disabled, right? And you can enable them, and then you can go and change them around. It's the same idea. It works exactly the same way. Views already had all this nice exportable stuff built into it. Features just kind of hooked in and said, we're going to make this all together in one nice, great interface. Okay, so I'm going to go to Recreate. All my stuff's already there. All the name and everything is already there. All this stuff's already there. All my dependencies are already there. And now I can download the feature again. And I'm going to say